When one of these things comes to your backyard, you can resist. And what that happens over millions of people is that you generate enough friction that they cannot go as fast as they want to go. Make sure that you are slowing down this system.
AOC's office advising migrants on how to avoid deportations. That was a live webinar. Trump border czar Tom Homan now issuing a warning to AOC.
I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now. Sanctuary cities, they want to step aside. We're coming. We're going to do it for you. If you don't want to make your community safer, President Trump's going to.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Tom Homan, who is making his rounds throughout the media and talking about what is currently going on with these sanctuary cities, who are going out of their way to obstruct the federal government from being able to enforce federal immigration law. Now, the mainstream liberal media is more worried about Eric Adams and what Eric Adams may or may not have done when it comes to making a deal with the DOJ. I honestly don't know. Okay, if that's the case, right? They're going to scream quid pro quo. But quite honestly, it's pretty normal for prosecutors to drop a charge against somebody to use their resources to go after a much bigger problem. Like, for example, illegal immigration, where you have criminals that are literally causing death, chaos, and destruction in these cities. And the Democrats, in my opinion, are the ones that are at fault here, because you don't have the situation with Eric Adams if Democrats were just following the law, right? If they weren't obstructing the federal government from carrying out the largest mass deportation ever, if they were cooperating, then you don't have this situation, okay? So I'm actually blaming Democrats, right? I am blaming Democrats. I would much rather see illegal immigrants off the street, okay, than Eric Adams in jail, to be honest with you. And if Eric Adams can help clean up these sanctuary cities, then, you know, hey, more power to him, okay? Because you have Democrats like AOC who are hell-bent on allowing the criminals to continue to cause chaos and destruction in her own city, in her neighborhood, in her district, because she is hosting webinars to instruct illegal immigrants, including criminals, on how to evade ICE, okay? And this is why it is much harder for ICE and much more expensive for ICE to conduct these mass deportations in the places where there are the most illegal immigrants in this country, which are blue states and blue cities, right? So with that being said, Tom Homan has sent a warning shot to AOC about trying to obstruct the federal government when it comes to mass deportations. And there's a possibility that AOC could be arrested, right? That she could face some consequences. I'm hoping that she does for her actions. And Dana Bash of CNN is going to confront Tom Homan on that. And Tom Homan is basically going to double and triple down on the possibility of arresting AOC for obstruction. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Multiple promises on immigration and deportation. You've said roughly 14,000 migrants have been arrested in the first month of this administration, and that's well below the 1,500 daily arrests that the president says he wants to see. You're getting support from across the federal government, from the FBI, from DEA, from U.S. Marshals, even the military. What's the struggle? Why are you struggling to get those arrests where President Trump wants them?
Well, we got to remember the interior arrests conducted by ICE in the interior of the United States is 2.5 times, 2.5 times higher than they were a year ago during the Biden administration. So ICE is doing a great job. I'm not happy with the numbers because we got a lot of criminals to find. So what we're talking about right now are increase the number of teams, increase the targeting, the division of ICE that creates a target list of, finding who these people are, what their criminal history is, and where we're most likely to find him. We got to increase the targeting production. So we're doing that now. We're increasing the targeting. We're increasing the teams out there in the field. And finally, I'll be honest with you, sanctuary cities are causing us a lot of work. And rather than arresting a bad guy in Rikers Island, we have to go to the neighborhood and find them, find people that don't want to be found. It is hard because rather than one man arresting one bad guy in a jail, we got to send a whole team to the field to find somebody that doesn't want to be found. And so it's hard work, but we're not giving up. We're coming. Again, the numbers are a lot higher than the Biden administration, but we got to do more. And I've been real clear on that. And that's why we're making the operational changes now that I've requested.
You went out.
Facts. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. The sanctuary cities was holding back the progress. Okay. So, it's just funny to me how Democrats want to keep talking about the mass deportation numbers as if they would be happy, right? If the numbers were much higher, right? Let's say the numbers were much higher than they are right now, which, right now, I think the numbers are pretty good considering how, again, the sanctuary cities aren't cooperating. And on top of that, a lot of people have self-deported, right? They've decided that, I would rather leave than to live in fear. So they're gone. So, the true number of deportations, we'll never know because, again, I think there's a significant amount of people that have self-deported that have just said, we're leaving. We're going back to Mexico, wherever, Venezuela. But regardless, the problem is the sanctuary cities, okay? And the liberal media outlets like CNN and MSNBC, it's just hilarious to me how they don't ever talk about the sanctuary cities and just how bad that is for the country, right? That we're harboring illegal immigrants. They never talk about that, right? They don't cover the sanctuary city issue, right? And then they wonder why their viewership is continuing to decline. They don't talk about the real issues. Anytime they talk about this issue, it's always in opposition to Trump. It's always skepticism around the mass deportations. They're more skeptical of mass deportations, enforcing immigration law, than Democrats obstructing the federal government from enforcing immigration law, right? It's just crazy how that works. It's so ass backwards, but that's the world that we live in.
After Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for hosting a webinar for immigrants called Know Your Rights with ICE. I want to play what you said.
Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now.
Are you suggesting that she should be prosecuted?
I'm suggesting, and I'd ask the Department of Justice, where's that line on impediment, right? It's a broad statute. So I know impeding with someone stopping in front of me and putting their hands on my chest so you're not coming in here and arrest that guy, that's clearly impeding. But at what line, where's the line on impeding? So I'm asking the Department of Justice, who are the prosecutors, and decide who they prosecute and what the standards of that prosecution is. I simply says, at what point is that impeding? Because you can call it know your rights all you want. We all know what the bottom line is. The bottom line is how they invade law enforcement. Don't open your door. Don't answer questions. Here's what we're talking about. We're talking about people here in the country legally with a criminal conviction who had due process at great taxpayer expense and were ordered deported by a federal judge, but became a fugitive. And we're talking about don't open your door to ICE. You don't have to answer questions. I think it's more about how to invade law enforcement, not to get arrested, even though there's a federal warrant for your arrest. How to evade that rather than know your rights. Now, we can argue about that all day long. They have the right to know their rights. The Constitution said they have the right to certain rights, but also I hope to God we're not, educating people are going to be the next murder of a college student. I've said it before. If we would have had access to the man who murdered Laken Riley in New York, he would never make the Georgia killer.
Yeah, here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, I think also as far as most reasonable American people are concerned, illegal immigrants, again, who are not in the country legally, okay? They're not legal residents or anything like that. No, they're here illegally, don't have rights, right? You don't have any rights, okay? You don't have rights. You're here illegally, okay? The Constitution is for Americans, American citizens, right? That's who it's for. At some point, Democrats are going to water down citizenship to mean nothing, right? Nothing at all. This is why in New York City, these are the same people that are trying to move to allow non-citizens, aka probably illegal immigrants, to vote in elections.
State's highest court to hear arguments on a measure passed by the city council more than 3 years ago. The law has been blocked by lower courts that found it violates the state constitution. The measure would give the vote to legal non-citizens, such as green card holders and people with work permits who have lived in the city for at least 30 days. It's estimated the new law would make an additional 800,000 people eligible to vote in local elections. It would not allow them to vote in state or federal elections.
That is the Democrat Party, guys. The Democrats are fighting for non-citizens to be able to vote. Okay? Only here for 30 days? Great. You can vote. You can have a say in how the city is run. Wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Democrats are showing you every single day they are America last. Law-abiding citizens last. Illegal immigrants first, criminals first.
To be fair, she said that
public safety threats escaping.
She said that she is just offering civil education and that you might be, quote, vaguely familiar with the U.S. immigration law, but that she's just doing what she needs to do to remind people the law of the land passed by congressional statute.
Vaguely aware of immigration law. I've done this since 1984. I forgot more about the immigration law than AOC will ever know. Matter of fact, the hearing a couple years ago, I had explained to her that entering the country illegally was actually a crime. So, I'm not going to play that game with her. I simply made a statement. When you sit down with people who are wanted by us, criminal aliens that have been ordered deported from the United States government, and ignore that order, if you and I ignored that order, we'd be sitting in prison. But they ignored an order from a federal judge. They're hiding in a home, and she's telling them not to open the door. Now, I'm not saying that's illegal. What I'm saying is, I asked the Attorney General, at what point is it impeding and what point is it not impeding? So I'm simply, as a board czar, asking the Office of the Attorney General, where does it draw the line? So we make sure we give ICE agents the proper standard when they go to these homes. They don't open the door. At what point can you open the door? At what point can't you open the door? Mm-hmm. So we just want to be sure that ICE officers are doing the right thing. So this is about talking to Attorney General, because every Attorney General interprets things different. What is your interpretation of impeding? Where's that line at? I think it's a responsible thing to do as a border czar of the United States to make sure the men and women of ICE understand what they can and can't do.
Yeah, and of course, right now, being undocumented is a civil offense and not a criminal one, unless you commit those crimes. Thank you so much, Tom Homan, for being here. Appreciate your time.
Wow. This is why nobody is watching CNN, right? That is why their ratings are in the tank, okay? What you guys just witnessed there, okay? The anchor basically tried to tell the border czar that being here illegally is not a crime, right? This is what she is trying to say, right? Again, this is how much or how little they respect our laws, right? The fact that we have borders, okay? These people quite literally want anybody to be able to come up in the country. And what they don't understand is that a lot of the things that Tom Homan is saying is to prevent people from trying to take advantage of the law, okay? And to come into the country illegally or unauthorized, which again, Democrats don't seem to have a problem with. So with that being said, yeah, I want to see AOC get arrested, right? I want to see Letitia James arrested. I want to see Alvin Bragg arrested. Yes, I want to see these Democrats that are currently obstructing the president from doing the job that the American people voted for him to do. Yeah, I think that they definitely should be held accountable, okay? So at some point, I would like for Tom Homan to actually, I don't know, go ahead and, do what you've been warning Democrats that you're going to do, right? That's what they want anyways. They want to be made an example out of. Make an example out of them, right? They want to continue to obstruct, and then you say, hey, listen, these are the people that are responsible for the federal government having to spend billions of taxpayer dollars to catch illegal immigrant criminals, because people like AOC want to teach them how to evade ICE, right? That's why, okay? And I'm sure the American people would have no problems with that. At least people with common sense. Reasonable people would have no issues with Democrats being held accountable for making us have to pay more to fix their problem, the problem that they caused, because Joe Biden and Democrats allow open borders. So now we got to clean it up, and they want to make it harder for us to do that. Yeah, that's not something that we can just let slide, right? We can't just let that slide. So I'm hoping Tom Homan doesn't let it slide. I'm hoping at some point he actually does do what he's warning these Democrats he's going to do if they keep obstructing. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black conservative perspective. Peace.